The ocean is a graveyard without headstones. Usually, when a giant falls, the world hears it. A distress call, a debris field, a body washing ashore. But on March 4th, 1918, the silence was louder than the storm. The USS Cyclops was the beast of the Navy. She was longer than 2 football fields. She carried enough coal to fuel a fleet. And she carried 306 living, breathing men. And then, in the blink of an eye, she was erased. No wreckage, no lifeboats, no SOS. It remains the single largest non-combat loss of life in U.S. naval history. Bigger than the Edmund Fitzgerald, more mysterious than the Mary Celeste. For a century, the world blamed the Bermuda Triangle. We blamed giant squids. We blamed German U-boats. Because the human mind hates a vacuum. We prefer monsters to mystery. But the truth isn't about what was outside the ship. It is about what was inside. A deranged captain, a chemically unstable cargo, and a fatal flaw in the steel itself. The Cyclops didn't just sink. It was murdered by physics. To understand the horror, you have to understand the machine. The Cyclops wasn't a battleship. She was a collier, a floating gas station designed to feed the starving engines of World War I. She was ugly, she was industrial, and she was absolutely massive. Life on board was a grimy, sweaty existence. Coal dust filled your lungs. The heat in the Caribbean was suffocating. But for the 306 men on board, including the U.S. Consul General, this trip was supposed to be easy. A straight shot from Barbados to Baltimore. In early 1918, the Cyclops docked in Rio de Janeiro. She had delivered her coal. She should have returned light, empty, riding high on the water. But the war effort was hungry, and the Navy made a decision that sealed their fate. Instead of coal, they loaded her with manganese ore. Now, this is critical. Coal is bulky but light. Manganese is dense, heavy. If you fill a bucket with feathers, it's light. Fill that same bucket with lead, and the handle breaks. They dumped 11,000 tons of rock into her belly. The ship was overloaded. She was sitting deep in the water. The safety marker was submerged. She was heavy, sluggish, and she was groaning. Before they even left Brazil, the crew reported strange noises. The ship didn't feel right. But in wartime, schedules matter more than safety. They pushed off, heading north, directly into the unknown. A dangerous ship needs a steady hand. Instead, the Cyclops had Captain George Worley. Worley wasn't your typical officer. He was a tyrant. Worley was a man who didn't just command respect, he demanded fear. He was known as a sundowner, a brutal disciplinarian. The stories from the crew are chilling. They said he would wander the bridge in his long underwear and a derby hat, carrying a loaded revolver. He chased officers off the bridge with a cane. He was paranoid, erratic. In Rio, The situation got so bad that the U.S. Consul General actually considered relieving Worley of command. Think about that. They were terrified to sail with him. But protocol won. Worley stayed in charge. Then came the final nail in the coffin. As they left Barbados for the final leg, Worley reported that the starboard engine had a cracked cylinder. The ship was limping. She was operating on one good engine, overloaded with heavy ore, led by a man losing his mind. March 3rd. The weather reports show a storm brewing. Not a hurricane, but a cyclonic storm. Turbulence, chaos. The Cyclops was limping into a boxing match with the Atlantic Ocean, and she had one hand tied behind her back. Sometime after March 4th, the ship entered the silence. There was no battle, no explosion, just physics. Here is the leading theory. It's called the snap roll. Because the manganese ore was so dense, the ship's center of gravity was incredibly low. You might think low is good, stable. But if it's too low, the ship becomes stiff. When a wave hits, a normal ship rolls gently. The Cyclops didn't roll. It jerked. Snap left, snap right. The frequency gets faster, the violence increases. It's like shaking a soda can that is about to burst. And then the cargo shifts. 11,000 tons of rock slide to the starboard side. Instantly, the ship loses all balance. It doesn't sink slowly, it capsizes. Imagine the terror. 1 minute you are eating dinner. The next, the floor is the wall. The ocean rushes in. The lights go out. In a capsize, there is no time for lifeboats. The lifeboats are underwater before you can even untie them. 306 men trapped in a steel cage, pulled down by the weight of the oar. The ship would have plummeted like a stone, hitting the bottom within minutes, imploding under the pressure. Back home, they waited. Days turned into weeks. The Navy sent ships. They scanned thousands of miles of ocean. They found nothing. Not a life jacket, not a bottle, not a piece of wood. Was it just a storm? Or was the ship doomed from birth? The Cyclops had sister ships, the Proteus, the Nereus. And here is the chilling part. During World War II, both of them carrying heavy ore vanished on the exact same route. 3 sisters, 3 disappearances, 0 survivors. Engineers now believe the I-beams running down the spine of these ships couldn't handle the acid from the coal and the weight of the ore. They didn't just capsize, they snapped in half. We have found the Titanic. We have found the Bismarck. But the Cyclops is still out there, likely buried in the Puerto Rico Trench, the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean, hidden by the depth, protected by the dark. We obsess over the mystery, the how, the why, but we forget the who. 306 men, fathers, sons, husbands. They packed their bags. They wrote letters saying, "I'll be home for Easter." The USS Cyclops is a humble reminder. We build steel giants. We map the stars. We think we have conquered the world.
But the ocean only allows us to pass. It does not promise to keep us safe. When the sea wants to take something back, it takes it. The Cyclops is still on patrol, resting in the deep. If you enjoyed this descent into the dark, hit the like button. Subscribe to join us for the next mystery the history books tried to forget. Stay curious. Stay afloat.